Hello, dear audience, dear friends, and all of you who are going to become part of this wonderful artistic journey. So, today I wanted to open one very interesting topic based on a true story. So, this incident happened approximately 8 years ago. It was slightly after coming back from Australia to Croatia, where I got a new job to work in an ambulance. And it was just in the same city where I lived. And it was really close to my home. It was very beautiful to work there. And it was early morning because I had to get to work to start with my early shift at 7:30. And I remember that I went from my home around 7 o'clock. So it was 7-ish when I met a person, a lady, who went to the same high school with me. And she was very curious and she stopped me, though I was really in a hurry and I wanted to be at least 5 or 10 minutes earlier at my work to have a coffee and to start my working day. But she frantically stopped me, and I wanted to let her know that I really have to hurry up. But I was trying to be polite, and then I greeted her and asked her shortly, "How are you doing?" and all of that. And she asked me, "So where are you heading to?" And I said, "I'm heading to my work." And whereabouts? And I said, I'm heading towards ambulance. Okay. What are you doing in ambulance? I said, well, I'm working as a doctor. Pa-pa-pa-pum, pa-pa-pa-pum. Her reaction was really quite disturbing. She didn't say anything, but after 3 or 4 seconds of painful silence, she said, "I could have finished medicine if I had parents to financially support me." I didn't even question what did she graduate, where did she work, nor I had any kind of deep interest to discuss anything at 7 o'clock in the morning before heading to my work. I was just polite, and then I said, "Yes, it serves you right to think like that. But all of my hard work was based really on my hard work, not being supported financially by my parents. And you do not have to undermine any perseverance, effort, discipline, and resilience by your comment. Thank you so much, and I'm wishing you all the best, and I'm wishing you to enroll medicine and to study for another at least 6 or 7 years." So, my dear friends, the point of this story is not to brag about finishing medicine or to undermine a lady who made this comment, though it was really unpleasant for the early morning, and considering that we didn't see each other for years and years, because it was like, let's say, 15 years after the prom. So it was a very long period. People also change a lot. They finish their education if they plan to do it, or they get employed, they develop their lives, private, professional. They acquire their friends in other aspects of life, and it is really amazing. But this was a very sad thing. I do not have any hard feelings towards this lady, but it is very saddening that individuals like the lady whom I mentioned, that she felt so badly limited. So it was not about finances, it was not about being less smart, let's say. It was actually her fear. It was her fear that if she doesn't get into the university, she would feel herself like a failure. So better not to attempt it, so better not to try it. So as I may know, the story about her is that she did not even try to prepare herself for the entrance exam for medicine, where you have to prepare chemistry, biology, and physics. She didn't even attempt to take lessons. Well, I was taking those lessons because we had organized, it was called Collegium Gymnasium at our school, and it was free of charge. So everybody could attempt that. And it ran once a week, completely free of charge. So there were no excuses. The only thing was to sacrifice a little bit of your time on a weekly basis and not to drink coffees around and waste your time, but to stay with the professors to prepare yourself for chemistry, physics, and biology. And also, you had to work on that additionally when you come home, do your homework, and when you get stuck in something, when you do not understand something, you also had available free of charge help from those professors. So nobody could tell me that preparations were something that cost so much or inaccessible, or that financial factor was so horrible. It is not true. It is just great fear, and there is even a bigger issue. But let me be honest, even if you get rejected, even if you don't pass the test, it happens so frequently. It happens more frequently than passing the test, and that is completely okay, because I know personally people who are doing this entrance exam for consecutive 4 or 5 years, but they got into medicine and they studied and they were phenomenal students. So not attempting something because you've got fear and you're scared if you fail something that your parents or community or name it won't support you anymore, or that you'll be ridiculed by them, it is completely wrong attempt. It is external factor, so it is not your internal factor. Fear, it is normal reaction, of course. I had also heaps of fear in my soul before I went to this exam. Yes, I was fearful. I can admit that, and it is normal. But I accepted that. I dealt with that very good. And I can only thank to those professors who were working on a voluntary basis to help us during this Collegium Gymnasium in our school. They were very great moral support. They didn't get a penny for that work. They were actually ridiculed because it was their initiative to form this Collegium Gymnasium free of charge for students, for future students, I mean, and to give them opportunity, especially to those people who are not able to pay something additionally, of course, because it costs, but it doesn't cost a fortune, but it costs. At that time, it was probably around 300 or 400 euro preparation course. And it was doable, but of course it was a big strain on finances, and I can completely understand that because I was also in that position. And so I improvised and I learned from that collegium, and I studied at home, and I only took lessons, a part of that for some fragments that were unclear for me, and that was not so frequent. It was like once a month I take a lesson to make everything clear in chemistry and physics. And it went really well. Biology, one has to learn it because it is like learning certain subjects like history or geography, same as biology, except genetics. One has to understand it, but it's fine. It is not such a deep wisdom book because a level of genetics that we had to prepare for this entrance exam was not so horribly hard to learn. And everything was really doable. One just needs to form a priority list and to know, okay, if that is something that I would really like to do in my life, and that I do not feel sorry later for something because I missed certain opportunity, because I didn't let myself try it, even if I fail, then everything is super clear. But in this case, this comment was something that really made me think, wow, it has been a while that this lady was really suffering in her skin, thinking of me and my way, that she didn't even know what I went through. She never walked in my shoes. She didn't experience my situation. I never talked about any kind of issues. I was just learning and having my priorities. And even when I could have helped her in any subjects, I have helped her. And I never rejected her. So in most of the cases, I was also a person who really loved to help because I was good in a lot of subjects. And I have done it with pleasure for other people. But years and years after, can you see this volcano just erupted as a result of unhappiness or chronic complaining or comparisons, or not being ready to be challenged by something because ego would just explode under the pressure. Yes, all of us have certain amount of ego, and it is normal part of us. So don't be scared of ego. Be scared of not giving yourself a chance, even if you fail. If you fail even 10 times, it is nothing personal against you. It is just a process of learning through your life and letting yourself do something. Because if you really badly want something, if you see yourself in the future doing that occupation, vocation, or whatever, then you'll definitely be doing that. I'm sure 99% that you will do it. You will find a way. You will pass that exam. It is not an issue. Or you will go do this entrance exam in other country, other city. You don't have to get stuck in one city. It doesn't mean that you have to do it in certain city. You can do it anywhere where your high school qualifications are recognized. And if you prepare yourself very well, then you can just do it. Nobody prevents you. Even if you're an elder student, nobody will say anything. It is just you and yourself, your internal dialogues. So my dear audience, my dear friends, and all of you who are going to watch this video in future, please consider this situation and think of it, because it is so important. Life is only one. And if you have certain dream that is the wildest possible dream, and it looks from the start that it cannot be so easily accomplished, or that there are so many obstacles in your life and that there are not so many possibilities to pursue something, ask yourself, is that really so? Are there any possibilities between the lines that exist? Because not many people have perfect circumstances to study. There are a lot of people who have big issues. There are a lot of people who lose their parents very early, so parents cannot support them. Nobody can support them. Many of them lose their brothers, sisters, or they get through very serious illness, or part of the family gets through the serious illness. And those are very, very hard situations. Financial obstacles. There are a lot of people that I knew who had horrible circumstances in terms of financial problems. But all of them finished university, all. So there was not a financial troubled person who never graduated. I don't know any. Mostly those who had everything served on the plate. They were mucking around and making circus, and they were a little bit lazy, so they needed stimulation and some sort of measures to get into the gears and do things as they should have been done. But most of the people who were really in very difficult situation, they were the first ones who graduated. They didn't need any extra time, and they're doing their work amazing, and they have been promoted so good and so high because their wildest dreams were never stopped by any kind of circumstances. So, my dear friends, if this similar situation happens, or a situation from the lady whom I met, or my own situation, always consider, are you walking in the shoes of a certain person? Am I judgmental towards a certain person or towards myself and my own capabilities? Those are the questions that are very important, because nobody is going to question you that. You have to question yourself. And believe me, there were a lot of obstacles. There were so many horrible aversions. but nothing made me quit. Nothing. The more obstacles I had, the more difficult situations have been planted on my way. The more of the rocks on my road were just set through. I just made a very, very deep decision that I will find a way to overcome that, and nothing is going to influence my studies. I'm going to give my best. And no matter how difficult something is, I will just stay focused, resilient, despite of many sad situations, and just swim like an Olympic swimmer. So, my dears, with this video, I wanted really to make you think about everything, to inspire you, and think what is actually an obstacle in your life, what is actually a privilege, and could an obstacle be a privilege, or could certain good circumstance be a false privilege? So rethink, make a list of pro and contra. It is very important, and then you can reflect it much better. I'm sure that the lady from the story never made this list. It was a taboo for her because it would be very offensive towards her ego. But people who are very much persistent and determined to do something, they do this list. Like a child in the first class of primary school. Things that have to be done, things to be skipped, omitted, or things that are conditio sine qua non, or things that should be obligatory in any case. So make your priority list, write it down, don't be embarrassed. I have also done that, and it really worked. It was helpful, though it looked very stupid on the paper. But stupidity sometimes defines those very good things, hidden things between the rows. And it is actually a very good practice for your own orientation and your intelligence. So don't be scared. Simple things are always welcome because simple things solve these kind of issues. So you don't get this situation in the future like the mentioned lady. My dear friends, I'm wishing you a lot of success, and whenever you need any kind of support, consulting, meditations, emotional freedom technique, hypnosis, or just to resolve your orientation regarding profession or your creative potentials, I'm more than ready to help you. Be ready to send me an email on helenaopera@gmail.com, and I will answer on your email. So, take the responsibility for your life, for your future, for yourself, and taking the responsibility for yourself is taking the responsibility also for other people. Because the sooner you take responsibility for yourself, your life will flourish and you will be functioning much better in society, and other people will definitely notice that there are some wonderful positive changes. Some won't like it because it will reflect your courage, your resilience, your diligence, discipline, and you'll be seen as a very defined person who has a clear structure of what you want to do with your life and that you're on the right path. But it is like that, and consider that the right persons in society will definitely support you for that who you are, not the imaginary person, you and your authentic self. My dear friends, I'm wishing you all the best. Rethink this, make some markings, write down, and if you have got any questions, please let me know. My email is available and you can write me anytime. All the best and have a wonderful time.